and get started.
Good morning. Sorry, I was having some problems with the computer, so I went ahead with the audio from the phone. So
that's fine. I want to welcome.
I'm showing it now on the computer. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I want to welcome everybody. I'm Dawn Morrison, so I've communicated with probably all of you via email over the last couple of weeks. So I want to welcome you, and first and foremost, thank everybody for taking time out of your lives and your busy days to A, volunteer to serve as a judge and help us with this competition, and B, for taking your time out to attend this training today. The Conrad Challenge is a really great, exciting opportunity for high school students all around the world, and we would not be able to do it without our judges. So you guys play a huge part in this competition, and I'm very thankful that each of you have taken the time out of your lives to participate as a judge for this competition. On the line is Elliot Mork and Mark Schroll, and they are with the Innovation Portal that most everybody should have registered on by now. If not, we need to get that done. But they will be leading this training, and they are the experts on the program that we will be using. Basically, the students are using it as well to create their portfolios. We will use it to distribute portfolios to the judges, and the judges will use it to submit their scores of the portfolio. So they will go through all of that with you over the next hour that we're on this call. And then if you have questions, there'll be opportunities for you to ask questions. There is a sidebar on your computer screen that's got a chat option, so please feel free to throw out any questions there that you think of while somebody may be talking, because we will address those questions as well. And then after the training, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. That's what I'm here for. Don't hesitate to email at all. If I can't answer your question, I will get to the right person that can answer your question, which would most likely be Mark or Elliot. So I'm going to turn it over to them. We'll just ask that everybody puts their phone on mute if at all possible, if you have a mute button, just to help keep down any of the background noise while we're on these calls. I know a lot of people like to multitask, and that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to turn it over to Elliot, and thank you again, everybody.
Thank you, Dawn. Mark, if you could go ahead and mute at this point. We're going to have you can. Oh, I think I was muted there. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and Mark for handling the mute. I'll unmute myself from now on. If you have a question while you're on mute, you can either put it in the chat bar, and I'll stop once in a while, and we can address those questions. Or we'll also pause once in a while and unmute if anyone wants to ask some questions at that point as well. Are people hearing me right now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. For this judge session, you have myself, Elliot, and Mark, my partner, along with me. We'll be handling the questions and showing you the particulars of how to use the Innovation Portal. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat bar. We'll stop once in a while to address those. And we'll also unmute everyone to ask questions directly once in a while. So I want to go ahead and get started here. Make this a little bit bigger. During the training today, we'll do these 8 things. The first 2 you've probably already and hopefully done. The first, make sure your browser is up to date to use Innovation Portal. You can use whatismybrowser.com to do that. Hopefully you've already all created an Innovation Portal account as well and gotten it connected to the competition. And I'll show you the particulars of how to do that. We'll do an overview of how the online Innovation Portal works and how to access portfolios that Dawn will assign to you. We'll cover the rubric that you'll be using to score portfolios that students have submitted and how to access that rubric, and then access scored examples to guide you for a common baseline to judge the portfolios. Then we'll be covering how to actually submit your scores to Dawn, Elise, and Carrie, and then judging will be due for this round January 31st. And again, Mark and my email is available there. We'll come back to that page. So first what I want to do is an overview of how to get connected to the competition, the Conrad competition, through the Innovation Portal. The first step, which you've hopefully already done, is to create your Innovation Portal account. There's no special judging account. every account is the same. You're going to be using it to actually judge and have additional access to this competition. To get connected to that competition or put your name in that bucket for the competition, you're going to want to give Dawn the email address that you used to register on the innovation portal. What she'll do is send you an invitation to get linked up into that bucket, and then you need to check your email and look for that invitation. Once you have that invitation, you can accept or decline. Hopefully you will accept that invitation from Dawn to actually judge within the Conrad competition. Once you accepted, you're connected to the Conrad competition. For the Conrad competition, note there's 4 different competitions, and your invitation will be specific to that category that you'll be judging in. So that's the judging overview. The whole competition structure for the innovation portal on the whole is available in a little diagram here. We have the competition, which is the Conrad competition right here, and we have Dawn, who is the competition administrator. Students and their teams are working on their portfolios as we speak for this competition, and will submit those portfolios to Dawn. They register with the same account that you do and work on those portfolios. Once the submission window is coming to a close, for this one will be January 19th, students will take the portfolio they've been working on and actually submit it to the competition. All those portfolios they've been working on go to the competition, and then Dawn will have access to those. At this point, the innovation portal is making a copy of the portfolio to the submission, and the students still maintain their portfolio as a whole. So Dawn will have a lot of portfolios in this competition, and then a lot of judges she will assign, using an algorithm through the innovation portal, some amount of portfolios to each judge. This happens randomly, and Dawn can tell the algorithm, I want each judge to have 3 to 5 portfolios to review, and I want to make sure each portfolio is reviewed at least 3 times by different judges. Another requirement is that no judge will review the same portfolio twice. So she can distribute those using the algorithm on the innovation portal. Your role as a judge is to actually score those portfolios as a review with a standardized rubric for scoring, and then send those scores back to Dawn, the competition administrator. Students right now are working on their portfolio. Anyone with an innovation portal account can create a portfolio. Students can invite their project partners. They can invite one person or many people. These can be actually project partners. This can be their teacher. They can invite whoever they would like to their portfolio to either view or to collaborate with. They can even invite project mentors, professionals that are helping them in the field and giving them feedback on their portfolio. Then students can send that portfolio to a competition, including multiple competitions. We have had students in the past that have actually submitted portfolios to several competitions, the exact same one, because of the standardized rubric that the innovation portal provides. Then those portfolios are distributed out to the competition. So that's a quick context for what is happening before we get into the details. After this slide, I'm going to pause for some questions about the structure of the innovation portal and your role in the context of it. You will be receiving 3 different documents that are written at the end of this training, as well as a recording of this training and these 3 resources. The first one is a PDF step-by-step guide for judges, and that is a visual guide to help show you the actual steps of logging in, creating an account, and getting connected to a competition. The second one is reflective questions from the portal. These are the questions that you can use somewhat as a checklist to evaluate the portfolios within the innovation portal that you'll be reviewing. The last document is the complete rubric that you'll be using to actually assign scores to portfolios that you are reviewing. And so you'll have that document in a PDF as well. I know some judges like to have that as a separate document or to print it out. The rubric is also integrated within the innovation portal as you're actually evaluating and scoring. And at this point, I want to pause and see if we have any questions. right, with no questions, we will move on. So this is the innovation portal. The first screen you will see will look like this. It'll be the innovation portal. You can log on using this button up here. Every account is the same, and once you have access to your account, you can log on here using your information. When you log on, the innovation portal doesn't know that you're a judge. It doesn't know that you're a student or that you're a reviewer. Every account in the innovation portal is the same. On the left here, we have our navigation sidebar, and what it assumes is that you want to create a portfolio. That's what the innovation portal does. As a judge, though, you are not going to be creating a portfolio first. You're going to be actually reviewing and looking at an opportunity. So the first thing you want to do is go over to this left sidebar and then go to opportunities. The word opportunity instead of competition was chosen with intention because there are other things than competitions in here. We've offered internships, we've offered other things in here besides just competitions. So right now, you see that there are several competitions. There are at least 4 Conrad competitions, and we can see the 2016 Conrad Spirit of Innovation Challenge, Health and Nutrition, Cyber Technology Security, Energy and Environment, Aerospace and Aviation. What I'd like to draw your attention to, though, is that right now we're filtering by current. These are all current opportunities. Students are working on these right now. They're working on portfolios that they will be submitting to these challenges. Once we go into the judging period, these will move to past because students will have submitted their actual portfolios. So as judges, what we'll need to do is click this past button. And if you could just imagine that those same opportunities we saw over there, the 2016 Conrad competitions, were listed here. That's what it will look like for you. For this training example, we've put together just a training example competition that already is past the date, and we're going to use this one to actually go into. So here's the training example. One thing to note is that it will say the title, 2016 Conrad competition up here, if you're in the right one. And note this blue bar right here, we can view and we have reviews. We have all the information on the cover page for the Conrad competition that you can see currently, but because you are a judge and you've accepted that judging invitation, you will see this review button. If we go out to a different competition in which I am not a judge for, go to opportunities, then we go to past, and a different competition. We can look at the last year's Kansas City. I do not have a review button. So one way you can know if you are an active judge for competition is if you have that review button. So let's go back to the one that we are a judge for. All right, so we're a judge in here. The thing we'll want to do is actually get access to our reviews. So we can click the reviews button here. We can scroll down, and we have several reviews. The first thing I want to call your attention to is completed reviews, 1 of 11. That means we have 11 reviews assigned to us, and Dawn will be assigning these reviews, and I have completed 1 so far. So when we complete further ones, this number will go up. Each one of these boxes is a review. So the lawnmower Kickstarter, I have already completed. It has the status complete down here. What we're going to do is go into one that is active and actually do the review. So we're going to go into cracked iPhone screen. So this is the innovation portal and portfolio. This is student work that has happened. The layout of the innovation portal and the portfolios is analogous to a 3-ring binder. We have tabs along the right side here. Right now we're on the portfolio cover page. We can scroll down within this cover page and see all the content that the students have put here. This student group has decided to put a picture of the group. If we hover over other elements, we can see different tabs on this portfolio. So we can see A, B, all the way down to N. These are the tabs in that 3-ring binder. On the cover page, there's no content that we actually need to evaluate or grade. So to actually start evaluating, we need to go to element A. The innovation portal is built with the rubric in mind and the evaluation system that you as judges will be using. The students have had access to this rubric since they started using the innovation portal, the exact same rubric and resources that you have as judges. If we go into A, we can see the content and the rubric that the students have entered and have access to. So this is the content students have actually loaded for element A. On the right-hand side, we can hover over A and see a couple things as judges that will be useful to us. The first is the element rubric. This is a standard rubric that we have, rubric professionals have put together and created a staircase for you to evaluate different portfolios with a standardized staircase for how to actually do the evaluation. It defaults on 5 and ranges from 0 to 5 as integers. So the rubric has language on each one. If we click 4, we see different language, a description of what a 4 is, a description of what a 3 is, and a description of what a 2 is, all the way down to 0. The next thing I want to show you is the reflective questions, which you can use as a checklist. This checklist asks the students, have they provided this within the content of this element A? So have they provided a clear and concise problem statement that offers cause and effect phrasing and includes some level of data or statistics about the severity of the problem? This is a question that students will have to answer within the content of this tab. One thing to note is that when evaluating each element, as a judge, we should look at only the content within that element. So we have a checklist here of questions. We have a rubric down here, and then the last tool that we have in our toolbox are scored examples. I'm going to hover my mouse right here, but I want to note to watch the top left corner of the screen when I click this. This is an example. Top left, and we opened it. This is an example that a large amount of people have evaluated and found to be a common score for this entry. So this is an example you can use to judge your evaluation scores on. It opens up a new tab, and we can go back to the portfolio we're evaluating without closing this portfolio. So we can go back and forth between the two. On this example, this is element A in a project that has a score of 2. So we can look at that and make sure it's a score of 2. We have the reflective questions and the rubric included. And the rubric is here. And then we have the work that the students have done to earn the 2. So you can review this work and see that this is a standard 2. And this work has deserved a 2 by a large pool of reviewers that have come to that conclusion. So you can review that to get your baseline. We can also go back and see another score. An example for a 0. And again, note that it opens up a new tab and we don't lose access to the portfolio that we're reviewing. So a score of 0, we can look down. We still have the questions and we have the rubric. And then we have the student work. So pretty limited in the case of a 0. As a note with scoring, if there is no information within the element, that score should be marked as a 0. And at this point, I want to pause and see if we have any questions.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm not sure about the scores. Is that 2 a maximum score, or is an average, or is there a maximum? And the minimum, I assume, is 0, right?
Yes.
So is there a maximum?
There is. 5 would be the maximum. So the
okay.
Scoring range that you have ranges from 0 all the way up to 5. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Every score has to be an integer of 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and it is a score of best fit. So if you think it's between a 3 and a 4 and you're jumping in between, you do have to choose either a 3 or a 4, but pick the one that is closest to.
Oh, okay. I saw the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there was just a description of the rubric. I didn't realize they were, each of them is 5 points. Is that, or I'm confused?
So this is just a description at this point. This is not your score sheet, but this you are able to assign a score of 0 to 5, and that's 0 points all the way up to 5 points. And so this is a score that you're able to assign this element on the portfolio.
Okay, so to give a 3 is for something that looks like this text is telling me. Is that?
Yes. So on a 3,
okay.
we have a few things to judge if it's a 3. We have this text that is down below it, and a 3 is different from a 4. And a 3 also has a 3 also has this example that a student group has created, and it has come to consensus that this is a 3. So in this example, this work was judged and deemed worth a 3. And you can review that work to establish that baseline as well.
Thank you.
Good question. Any other questions? All right, we will move on. So this is all informational on the right-hand side. It gives you resources as the judge on how to score the text that the student has inputted on the portfolio element page here. And I have a scroll wheel that I'm using right now, and you can go through all of that student information that they have actually put on the portfolio. Once you are ready to decide a score and to actually use your scoring sheet to evaluate, is this a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have this icon of a pen quill down here that is the actual score sheet where you submit your score. So we have the opportunity to write comments in here. We have the opportunity to assign a score. So if we decided this content on element A that the student has submitted is worth a score of 4, we can click that 4. And then note we also have a little plus sign right here. If we could click that plus sign, we get that rubric again up here, and we can review in case we want to review it. And so if we're unsure whether this was a 4 or a 5, we can go back and forth and decide again at this point of which score that this rubric best fits. We can also close out with the X here. Every single element should be scored with a number. If there is no content, it should be scored with 0. At this point, we can add a review as well if we want to provide additional comments. Into this space here. Note that there's no save button at this point. The Innovation Portal actually is saving automatically every few microseconds. So if I close my scoring sheet down here and I go to a different element to look at that, I can review this, then I can go back to element A, go down to my score sheet, and see that it's still here. My score of 4 is preserved, and my comment down here is preserved. And I think I'm seeing some questions if we want to address those.
There are some questions, Elliot. I just didn't want to interrupt, and I've been trying to answer them in the chat room for those of you that can see them. This is Mark Schroll. I'm Elliot's partner. One of the questions was, can we see the review? Will we be able to see the review button that tells us we are a judge that you demonstrated earlier, Elliot, prior to being given portfolios? And the answer is yes. As soon as you send your email address of the Innovation Portal account that you created to Dawn, and she turns around and invites you as a judge, as soon as you click the accept button, that review button will appear in the competition. The only difference is that there will be, not until the Tuesday till after Tuesday of midnight next week, there won't be any portfolios for you to review because the competition has to end, and then we have to distribute the portfolios. So you can see that you and verify that you are a judge. There just won't be any portfolios for you. Eileen asked a question in the chat room if there are any limits to the length of a portfolio, to the length of any of these given pages. If you look at the screen, each one of those tabs, tab A, tab B, they're just like a 3-ring binder portfolio. You can add as many pages in that section as you want. So there is no limit to how long a student or how much information students can put on a given page. If they need a new page, they just add another sheet of paper, and as you scroll down, it will just get longer. Doug asked the questions, will the students see our comments? The answer is no, not directly. It very much analogous to a science fair competition where you're handed a score sheet and comment sheet. When you turn those back in, they go directly to Dawn. Now, Dawn will have access to everybody's comments and can choose later to share, to grab those comments and share those with the students or not, but they will not see them directly when you send them back to Dawn. There is that intermediate step. I hope I think those answered all the questions on the that I see at the moment. If there are other questions, please jump in.
I have another one that was sent directly to me in the chat window. And the question is the expectation that we provide comments for each scored element? Do you have examples of well-written comments, encouraging in tone or instructive, or both? So that's a couple questions. In response to the question about example comments, I don't believe we do have any example comments built within the system. And then about the expectation of comments for each element, I think Dawn would be the best to answer that question for this competition.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what the question was.
What is the expectation? Is there an expectation that we provide comments for each scored element? So for element, as example, element A.
I don't think that we've put that out there for the students. I don't think that they have an expectation at this point. That's something that we can decide if we want to put out there for them. But at this point, I don't think that we've told them that they would or wouldn't see kind of comments like that.
Okay. And from the innovation...
with our board and what we want to do and move forward with that.
From a platform perspective, the comments are not required to submit a score. So you can submit scores without any comments in there. It's an option for a judge if you would like to include them or not. All right, so we'll move on here. So once we've assigned this score of 4, and we have additional comments here, we can, it's been saved, but we can click this button, Complete Review. What this does is it's similar to an Amazon shopping cart. You can review your order or you can review your score sheet in summary as a whole. So our summary right now says that we have a score of 4 on element A, and then we have not submitted scores for elements B and on. For the Conrad competition, in this semifinal round, we will only be scoring A through F, and then the other one should be left blank. And actually, at this point, we've realized we haven't submitted a score, so we can actually go back to our portfolio and work on those scores. So we can go back to opportunities, and past, go back in. Reviews, and find that same review that we've been working on. And so for element A, our score sheet is maintained. We have that score of 4, but we know we need to go in and put a score in for B as well. We can go to the score sheet here, and we can assign this. We can assign this a score. Let's say this one only got a score of 2. We can write comments here as well. Put our comment in there. For your semifinal round, you will only be doing this for elements A through F. And if we go to a further element, G, you can note that there is no score sheet button down on the bottom right. compared to F that we will be scoring, and there is a pin quill here, and we're able to put a score in. So now, let's pretend that we've filled out everything. We have all the scores submitted. We've done the score there, and all the different elements. We can close that. We can complete review. And again, we can see that summary. We can see that we have a score submitted for A and for B, and we have one for F, and then we have a bunch of empty ones. We can also see our comments on each of these. We can scroll down. So far, you haven't committed to the scores. You can go back, you can change, you can rethink. Some judges like to score, if they have 3 different portfolios, they like to score all element A all at the same time, and then move on to B and then C. Some judges like to score an entire portfolio at a time, and some judges like to score a portfolio and then score the other 2 and then come back to A to revisit it. Come back to the first portfolio and revisit it again. That's all fine. Judges do things differently. It's all the scores can change until we get down to this screen right here. This button is like putting a stamp on an envelope, and then this complete review is like putting it in the mail. Once we click this, I understand and wish to complete the review, and click this button here that says complete review. That's like putting a postage on an envelope and sending it in the mail. We can't change it anymore. And before I do that, I want to pause for questions again.
Hi, Elliot. I have a question here. I just want to know how many judges will be there for one particular portfolio.
I think each portfolio will be reviewed at least 3 times, and then Dawn may, if there's any ties, she may add and reassign more reviews to distinguish a tie. And Dawn, I think it's 3, but you may follow up with something else.
No, 3 is correct. Like you said, if there was a tie, we would distribute that again.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Good
you.
question.
Elliot, there was a couple of questions in the chat room. I just wanted to, I tried to answer in the chat room in the background, but thought they were great questions and we should bring them out to everybody via audio. You can answer them for me. The question is, are each of the elements weighted the same?
They are. So all the points are weighted the same. It's 0 through 5. The points are added up, and I believe we'll have 35 points altogether if we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30? 30 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. 30 points for this semifinal round, and then that's what it'll be out of. And it is not weighted any other way other than just 0 through 5 for each element. Good question.
And then I think you have answered before you answered the other couple of questions. Each portfolio will be graded by between 3 and 5 judges, and those scores will be averaged, and then the overall score of those average will be the score for that team's portfolio.
All right, so once we're ready to actually put the stamp on our envelope of our scores, we've put the stamp on and we can put it in the mail by clicking complete review here. Once we've done this, we can't take it back, we can't take it out of the mail. And if you notice, we go here, we get put into my reviews, you can see that this one is complete. If we want to go back into the opportunity, we have another screen to verify that we have completed a review. If we go to the past again, and then in our training example, and we can see our reviews, and we can see that cracked iPhone screen, we have completed that review. We can even go into that and see our scores, but we can't change them at this point. And we can go back to reviews and actually review it, but we can't change it. If we go back to the opportunities, another way to verify to see if we've done everything that's been assigned, all the portfolios that have been assigned to us, if we go into reviews, we can see the ratio of complete. Before we had 1 of 11, and now we have 2 of 11, and we can see that we have 9 more portfolios to review. I have 11 here just because that's what's been assigned to me, but for this competition, you should have somewhere between 3 and 5 reviews. All right, I want to pause for questions again. Doug has a question. Will we judges get ample reminders to complete our portfolio reviews on time?
Yes, we will. I will definitely send those out. He's probably to the point where you'll get my emails.
That was a great question.
That's very good. I suspect that will be correlated with how much has been done by the deadline. But note that the deadline for this semifinal round is January 31st. Students are submitting on the 19th. You should get the portfolios assigned to you somewhere on the 20th or 21st if some reconfiguring needs to happen, and then you'll have that time until the 31st to actually do the reviews.
Elliot, we have another question from Michael. When will the portfolios be available? The students have until midnight of next Tuesday to submit their portfolios. So the earliest that we'll have a period of time there to make sure Don, Elliot, and myself will make sure that all the students who registered for each particular competition, that their portfolios did indeed make it into the buckets and things like that. So we'll have a little grace period, probably the morning of next Wednesday. And once all those are in place, the earliest you'd probably see them is by the afternoon of next Wednesday. We'll use the system to distribute the portfolios into your buckets, and they'll be available to you.
Yeah, and Mark, also my goal is to have portfolios distributed to everybody by the time I leave here on Thursday the 21st and that evening, because I will be out of the office Friday the 22nd. So my goal is to have portfolios distributed by Thursday night when I leave here, whatever time that is.
And Aline has a question. In past competitions, what were the numbers of portfolios reviewed and the length of the portfolios? Mark, do you have a good perspective on this one?
Yes, Eileen, I can help you in terms of both aspects of that question. In past competitions, it was, again, between 3 and 5 portfolios per judge. And then if you, I guess to answer the second portion of the question, we'll talk about it in terms of time. So if you look at the tabs that Elliot is referring to on the screen, the tabs represent the entire design process from formulating the problem and the justification of the problem all the way through the analysis of the design. In the Conrad competitions, especially for the semifinal round, once again, for this round, you'll only be grading from A through F. And in some of these other judges' trainings, we got feedback from judges in terms of time. One of the questions that, from your perspective, is how long will it take me to grade a portfolio? We've had judges look at this, and for an entire portfolio from A all the way to N, just like grading papers for students, the first one takes the longest, which takes about 50 minutes to an hour. But once you have the rubric in your head and you know what you're looking for, the rest of them go rather quickly. So for a full portfolio, an average is about 40 to 50 minutes a portfolio as you look through them. That's all the way from A to N. For a guess from A to F, I don't know if it's a linear equation, but it should be significantly less time for you to grade from A through F. It's just the first one takes a little bit longer. I hope that was helpful.
And we have a question from Doug. What kinds of awards do the winning teams receive?
Elliot, can you jump over to the current competition? And you can access this information, Doug, while at your leisure. This has been posted for the students. Each of the 4 competitions are exactly the same in their text. It's just one is for health and nutrition. They're like different buckets if you're aiming at that competition or this competition. So 4 teams will win if they're first of all, they have to make it into the final round, and if they're in the final round, they're invited to come to the Kennedy Space Center for the final round, if you would. They will get to present in front of judges there, and there are awards at the Kennedy Space Center for students, but the students can win a marketing and feasibility study for their work from one of the small business development centers of the United States that does tech transfer. That's one of the prizes that they'll win, and the others are recognitions as Conrad scholars at the culminating event.
And I think we are moving to a point where the training is closing. We can still answer some questions. But Dawn, I wanted to pass it to you for any final thoughts or information or things you wanted to share, and then we could pull it to a close.
I don't have a whole lot to share. Thank you again for supporting this competition, and I'm here to help. Like I said, if I don't know the answer, I can find the answer out for you. So please feel free to email me. I monitor that all day long. So if you have questions, I would rather you ask than feel like you can't ask. I'm here to help you guys. So email me if you have questions, and thank you again for participating in the Conrad Challenge.
Thank you.
If anyone has any further questions, Mark and I and Don will remain on the line to address those, but thank you for joining us in the training.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I actually have a question regarding the judging. If there are non-high school students who are collaborators on the portfolio, should we take into account the work, the level of work that might be in the portfolio that has been produced by professionals as opposed to the high school students themselves? In other words, are we judging the work of the high school students or the entire portfolio, including whatever professional collaborations might be involved?
Elliot, I can offer that if you'd like.
Yeah.
It's an excellent question. The rubric that you saw, and the history I'll give you in a minute, the rubric that you've seen has been developed over the last 4 or 5 years to grade the work that's sitting in front of you. We have pulled portfolios from students from middle school all the way to some postdoctoral students, and redacted names and things like that, and put them in front of judges saying, in order to make the inter-rater reliability studies of the rubric work, you need to grade the work that's in front of you. So I wanted you to have that background because, frankly, students should be accessing subject matter experts to ask some of their questions, but the work will be theirs. And even in the case where it may not be, there will be no way for you to know. You will not be able to see all the people that collaborated on it, only the submission of the students. So in order to lay the groundwork, make an even playing field, just like in a science fair, if you would, the judges are given the same instructions. Just the rubric itself is built around the design process and how well the students documented their design process in each of those steps. So just grade what's in front of you. There's almost no way for you as a judge to know in a science fair or in this engineering design process how much input in terms of the presentation, the 3-panel display or the portfolio was done by other folks. But I can offer that you'll get the sense as you go through this. This is students responding to their, putting their work in there, responding to their mentors and things. It's a very good question, but just like a science fair, grade exactly what's in front of you and go from there. Otherwise, there's almost no way to make an inference as to how much was submitted by others.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Good question, though.
We have another question. Can we, as judges, ask questions to the students? And the answer to that is unfortunately no. The only thing that is being evaluated is the actual submission that the students give you with the content within each tab of this portfolio being each of the elements. And so the only thing that the grade or the score should be based on is the actual content that has been submitted in the portfolio, including content on a different element shouldn't cross over for the score on a different element.
I see.
Elliot, there's a couple of questions that came up. I'll answer the most recent. Junling asked how can they find the slides for today. We'll be recording, or we have been recording this entire session, and we'll turn that into a YouTube link that you can access and then zip through and find the part that you're looking for. So that's one resource for you. And then we'll be also sending the resources that Elliot mentioned earlier. And then, if you'd like, we can send the introductory slides as well. So we'll put all that in a package and be sending that to you as an email and email attachments shortly after this training ends. So it's a good question. There was a second question earlier. Roberta had asked why only A through F. I can offer that. The Conrad the innovation portal was built. It was a very large scale effort, not just for the Conrad competitions, but to try to document and organize student problem solving and design works from around the country and a number of grade levels. That's where the rubric came from, and that's how we built the innovation portal. So that's why you see more than just the Conrad competitions and opportunities being offered through the portal. They're using the system. When the Conrads have had a competition for the past decade, but as they grew, they were running into the obstacles of scaling it and organizing it, and they found the innovation portal in the rubric, and they said, elements A through I correspond to exactly what we've been asking in our competition for the past decade. And because we start our competition in December and have a semifinal round and then a final round, we'd like to see if we can use the innovation portal to support what we've been doing in the past. So a couple answers to your question. One, the students go to the Conrad site to register, and they submit a general idea at the beginning in December. Then they come to the innovation portal, and elements A through F correspond almost directly to what was being asked in the semi-final round before. And then elements A through I correspond to everything that had been asked of students in the past competition. So as you go down through, Elliot, I guess I should ask if you would hover over elements J, slowly K, L, M, N. You can see that the things that will not be, go ahead and go over element J, if you would. Thank you. The documentation of external evaluation had not been asked of students in the Conrad competition before. If you go down to K, the reflection on the design, the reflection statements, down on to L, if you would. And then the recommendation from the students of moving forward. And then M and N are actually holistic grades about how well the portfolio communicated the things back. So as the Conrad judges looked at the rubric, they said, what we want to see is A through I, and we believe that that fits the time frame, because we start so late in the year in December, of what the students can do relative to our competitions in the past. And so that's how they have put their competitions on the portal, and that's why there is a semifinal round for the Conrad competitions, and then if the students are invited back, a final round that goes from A through I. I guess I can extend that statement, though, that other projects go all the way from A through N. Other competitions, some classroom projects pick and choose as they introduce the design process. I know there's some universities that use the innovation portal as a classroom tool, but since the design project is only a portion of that introduction to engineering course, they only use, for that class, they only use elements A through D, I think it is, to capture what they are trying to get across to their students in that section of the class. So the rubric has been, and the portal has been used in this kind of fashion and adopted for many different situations. See if there are other questions, or Elliot, have I missed something that you wanted to add?
I think we've covered it pretty good, and I don't see any further questions.
Perfect.
All right. Please follow up with either Don or I, and if you have any further questions later, and be on the lookout for that email with the recording and the